So in this video, I'm going to be talking about my opinion on how Nilou should be built, what teams can she fit in, her artifacts and weapon options, and just basically go over her character in general. I've done some testing of my own just to ensure that what I'm telling you is accurate, as I really want more people to appreciate the character that she is. But before I start the video, I simply want to stress that this is me sharing my own opinion, and so if you want to build her perhaps in a different way, then by all means go for it. Alright, let's get straight into it then. First of all, let's talk about her kit. Her normal attack is very simple, just 3 consecutive hits dealing physical damage, and her charge attack consumes a bit of stamina when used. Her elemental skill on the other hand may seem quite complicated at first, but in short, after pressing it once, Nilou enters the period state, and in this state, normal attacking or spamming E repeatedly will have different effects. Normal attacking causes Nilou to enter the sword dance stance, in which her normal attacks are converted to hydro damage that cannot be overridden, and the very last attack sends out a luminous illusion that travels a short distance, causing even more hydro damage. While pressing her E multiple times will lead to whirling steps, in which after pressing E for the 3rd time, a tranquility aura is created which continuously applies hydro on enemies within a small radius, and this ring stays on field even if you switch Nilou out. Each stance has its own benefits, and so it depends on the situation at hand most of the time, whether you should be using sword dance or whirling steps. However, in a bloom team that Nilou is mainly going to be played in, whirling steps may be more beneficial as you can switch to an on-field attacker after casting Nilou's E. As for her burst, it deals a single instance of hydro damage and leaves a mark on enemy's hit, which explodes and deals hydro damage after a few seconds. Both Nilou's elemental skill and burst scale off of max HP, and so you can get really big numbers from them if she is built properly. Moving on to her passive talents, the first one is what defines Nilou as a niche character, as it turns normal dendro cores created from the bloom reaction into bountiful cores. These cores deal increased damage and explode faster with a greater radius. Essentially, after the 3rd dance step of Nilou's elemental skill, an effect is granted to all party members for 30 seconds, in which all bloom reactions will create a bountiful core instead of the normal ones, and all party members will gain 100 EM whenever they are hit by dendro attacks. These bountiful cores share the same quantity limit as their normal counterpart, however, they can't be further interacted with to trigger hyper bloom or burgeon. One very important thing to always keep in mind is that this passive only works when all party members are either Hydro or Dendro, with at least one character of each element. As for Nilou's second passive talent, it simply increases the damage of the bountiful cores by 9% for every 1000 HP above 30k HP. The artifact set that you run on Nilou should be focused on giving her as much HP as possible, while also maintaining a decent amount of EM and crit stats. Currently, my full HP percent set substats are quite bad compared to my crit set, and so in this video I'm going to be using a crit build. Since Nilou doesn't have a specific best in slot artifact set as a 3.1, there are actually quite a lot of options that you can choose from. 2-piece or 4-piece tenacity of the Millilith works, as you gain 20% HP from the 2-piece, and also an attack percent bonus from your 4-piece for your on-field character when Nilou's tranquility aura is on the field. Or you can also run 4-piece Deep Root Memories, as it shreds Dendro, which increases the damage dealt by the bountiful cores since it is considered as Dendro damage. 4-piece Golden Dreams can also be great for buffing EM for the Dendro characters and give attack percent to Hydro characters, as that's how the artifact set works. Or you can mix and match 2-piece sets, such as 2-piece Tenacity with 2-piece EM set, 2-piece Heart of Deaths, and so on. For main stats, if you want to maximize Nilou's personal damage, then HP percent Hydro damage bonus and crit rate or damage is the best. However, if you want to maximize the damage of the bountiful cores, then HP percent for the Sands, Goblet and the Circlet is the way to go. It all depends on your playstyle, but when Dendro characters that are even more competent come out in the future, like Nahida, maximizing the damage of the bountiful cores will be much better for damage wise. For weapons, needless to say, but her signature weapon, the Key of Kajnitsid, is the best for her, regardless of which playstyle you are going to be playing her with. The Jade Cutter works quite well with a DPS Nilou, as it gives a ton of crit rate while also buffing Nilou's personal damage output. Other 5-star swords that may work well on her are the Mist Splitter and the Harange Pakufutsu for a crit Nilou, or Freedom Sworn if you want to build EM on her. Other than that, I wouldn't recommend the rest of the 5-star swords out there, as they don't really suit her well. Moving on to 4-star options, there are actually quite a lot to choose from. For example, the new Cyphos Moonlight can give Nilou and her party members a lot of energy recharge, while also having EM as the main stat. The same also goes for Iron Sting if you want EM. In fact, the new Sumeru craftable sword, the Sapwood Blade, also works on her, as the little leaf that its passive creates can give one of your party members a bit of EM with an energy recharge substat. And of course, as usual, the Favonius sword is a decent choice if you don't have any other 4-star options in your account. The reason why I'm not recommending the sack sword is because if you use her E twice, that would mean Nilou is going to be spending more time on field, which would hinder the team's overall damage output as you are going to be triggering blue much later after a longer setup. Honestly, although not using her signature weapon is going to reduce her damage by quite a bit, it is still by no means not necessary to pull for her signature weapon, and I would say that the 4-star options out there that are available right now are good enough for her. When it comes to constellations, C1 buffs the 2 dance stances by increasing the damage of Luminous Illusion by 65% and also extending the duration of Tranquility Aura by 6 seconds. The damage increase is very generous, which allows for an even stronger crit Nilou build, while the Tranquility Aura duration extension means that there will no longer be any CD, making her Hydro application even better. For her second constellation, essentially when a character with the effect that triggers the bountiful cools deal Hydro damage, the Hydro resistance of the opponent hit will be reduced by 35%, and when a bloom reaction is triggered and deals damage to an opponent, its Dendro resistance is also going to be reduced by 35% with each effect lasting 10 seconds. C3 and 5 increase the level of Nilou's elemental skill and burst by 3 levels respectively. C4 gives Nilou 15 energy after the 3rd dance step of her E, and also increases the damage of her burst by 50% for 8 seconds, making her burst practically a nuke. And finally, Nilou C6 gives her crit rate and crit damage for every 1000 HP she has. The maximum amount that she can receive from this constellation is 30% crit rate and 60% crit damage, which basically makes a crit Nilou build even more viable. In my opinion, C0 is enough as that is what my Nilou was at while I recorded footage of me clearing floor 12 of the Abyss. That being said, however, if you wish to get constellations for her and are unsure of where to stop, then C1 or C2 should be the stopping point. Any more constellations beyond C1 or C2 will probably alarm your bank, so please don't go for them. Moving on to the team building section for Nilou, I'd say that there are 2 main playstyles for Nilou, and so there's also 2 ways to build a team around her. The first playstyle is focused on maximizing the damage of the bountiful cools, in which you would need all party members to be either Dendro or Hydro with at least one of each in order to trigger Nilou's passive that enables the bountiful cools. This is the team that I used to clear floor 12 of Abyss, and basically the Traveler and Collie provide Dendro application and also the Dendro resonance, while Kokomi of the Hued Clamp set acts as a driver to trigger bloom reactions after Nilou finishes her 3rd dance step. In a team like this, you would want to have one character running the Deepwood Memory set as it shreds Dendro resistance, which results in higher bountiful core damage. In an optimal situation, Nilou would be running triple HP percent, but since the substats for my triple HP percent set is worse than my crit sets, I'll be using a crit build instead in the damage showcase in Abyss 412 later in the video. For the second playstyle, which focuses on maximizing Nilou's personal damage, a reverse vaporize comp like this would ensure that Nilou can use her sword dance to deal as much damage as possible while channeling provides seamless power application. Bennett does what Bennett does, and Yelan is there to provide Hydro resonance and also generate some particles for Nilou to use her burst with. One thing that you should be mindful of is that Yelan's Q might cause reverse vaporize sometimes, and the timing is very important if you want all luminous illusions to reverse vaporize every time. Other than that, Nilou can also be in freeze teams or taser teams as the Tranquility Aura can provide constant Hydro application. But in order to make the most out of such a niche character, it's best to play her either in a Super Bloom comp or in a reverse vaporize comp. Certain characters in the team comps that I just showed can be replaced by other characters. For example, in a Super Bloom team comp, you can either replace the Dendro Traveler or Kale with Nahida when she comes out, or Yelan with Xingqiu in a reverse vaporize team if you don't have Yelan. And with that, my in-depth guide for Nilou has come to an end. I've been playing around with her team comps ever since her release, and to me, she is a fantastic niche unit that can deal massive amounts of damage in the right teams. But there's also one thing I definitely have to say, and that is how at the moment in 3.1, she still definitely has a lot of potential locked behind unreleased Dendro characters. And when they are released, I'm sure that Nilou is going to be an even better character than she is right now. Anyway, I'm going to show you guys the damage showcase now, and so if you enjoyed this guide and would like to see more character guides in the future, please like and subscribe as it really helps me out, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!
これあんたソーランド行こい はびこれ。はっ。いくよ。はっ。はっ。信頼回復。はっ。